You are looking live.
Here comes the play. Goodman at the free throw line. Jumper.
He broke his ankles. He is Houdini.
Mickey Mantle don't care about you, so why should you care about him? Nobody cares.
That's not a good call. No.
You don't like that call.
I don't like that call.
Woo, 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 woo. Not so fast.
Aaron Rodgers posted an Instagram post that had everyone confused. Football fans, Aaron Rodgers fans, non-football fans, just had everybody confused. Whether you know everything there is to know about football or whether you know nothing about football, everybody was like, yo, what was up with Aaron Rodgers' Instagram post? What was up with that? And if you missed it, you are lucky enough to have me as your host because I went and copied it down, copied and pasted it in. So here we go. This is one of the longest Instagram posts of all time. This would not have been posted to Twitter because Twitter has a character limit. This probably would have been about a 4 or 5 tweet thread. So here we go. Story time. This was from Aaron Rodgers' Instagram. I'm sorry, this was not last night. This was Monday night. My bad. Here we go. This is what was posted on Monday night from Aaron Rodgers' Instagram feed. Quote, here's some hashtag Monday night gratitude for some of you incredibly special people in my life with some pictures from the last beautiful year. At Shailene Woodley, I don't know if I pronounced her name right. That was not him saying that. That was me saying, I'm not sure if I pronounced her name right. My apologies if I butchered it. He says to her, thanks for letting me chase after you the first couple months after we met, and finally letting me catch up to you and be a part of your life. Thanks for always having my back, for your incredible kindness you show me and everyone you meet, and for showing me what unconditional love looks like. I love you and I'm grateful for you. To the men I got to share the quarterback room with every day, Matt, Nathaniel, Luke, Jordan Love, and Kurt Bankert, you guys make every day so much fun, and I'm so thankful for the daily laughs and stress relief you brought me every week of the year. I love you guys. To the Friday crew, talking to Randall Cobb, some other guys, David Bakhtiari, those guys as well. He has them tagged, so I'm not really sure who he's tagging. The usernames are kind of weird. I loved every moment we got to spend together this year. Your love and support was overwhelming, and I cherish the friendships I have with each of you. To my teammates, past and current, you are the icing on the beautiful cake we call our job, football. The friendships that we have will transcend our collective time in this game, and I'm so thankful for the role that each of you have played in making my life that much better. I love you guys and cherish the memories we've made. To everyone else, spread love and gratitude, you beautiful people, and read a book once in a while too, while you're at it. Love and peace with 2 hearts. So it wasn't just the words. That was it, by the way. That was the end quote from his Instagram post. And that had a lot of people, not just the words, but the pictures as well, right? He had pictures with everybody. And before Liam went on for his 20 minutes, he actually brought this up to me, which I wasn't aware of. Or maybe I was and I just wasn't thinking about it. Is that it was kind of the tradition for him to stand between Davante Adams and Randall Cobb during the national anthem. And one of the pictures he had on Instagram on that post was a picture of Randall Cobb and Davante Adams staying for the national anthem, except it was Aaron Rodgers wasn't there. And what Liam had brought up was actually very, very interesting and very, very, very interesting thing to bring up. He said you could take that one of many ways, as you could have taken the paragraph one of many ways. He said the picture you could take one of many ways, saying, hey, you guys were always there. I would always stand right there. Now that is missing. You could be saying, hey, I'm the missing piece. I need to come back to Green Bay to be with you guys. Or you could take that another way and be saying, hey, I know I used to stand there between you guys for the national anthem every time, every game. It's not going to be like that anymore. I'm not coming back. You could take it one of many ways. His paragraph, or I should say paragraphs, didn't really help one understand what he was thinking, what his thought process was like, what he's planning to do. And a lot of people were saying, hey, this is it. He's done. He's not coming back to Green Bay. He's either going to go to Tampa Bay, he's going to go somewhere else, or he's going to retire. I, for one, read that, and I felt like it was, hey, I'm very grateful for you people. I love everybody. I'm so thankful for everybody that has helped me, everybody that has worked with me throughout not just this year, but in years prior, and it seemed like he was so grateful and so thankful that it was like, hey, I'm so thankful and I'm so grateful for you guys that I don't want to leave. I want to come back, kind of thing. Like if that makes sense. And, it didn't feel like he was saying, hey, I thank you guys for everything you've done, but it's time for me to move on. Because when one usually leaves, or one usually hits the door, they don't usually talk things up that much. You know what I mean? Like, for Tom Brady, when he left Tampa, or when he left New England, obviously, he was very, he definitely gave a lot of appreciation and a lot of thanks and a lot of all that stuff to New England, obviously for obvious reasons. But at the same time, it was also, he also had that part in there where he was saying, hey, it's time for me to move on. And if he didn't come out right out and say it's time for me to move on, he definitely alluded to it. And that was nowhere to be found in the Aaron Rodgers post. It was not, hey, I'm thankful for everybody who has worked with me. I'm thankful for my past and current teammates, but I do feel like it is time for me to move on. I think it's time for me to move on to bigger and better things, other opportunities, so on and so forth. Because if you have the idea in your mind that you're going to leave, you're not going to spend so much time on how great your past was, right? If you already have made up your mind that you're leaving, you're going to be more focused on the future and what's to come and what you're looking forward to working on and what you're looking forward to get done in the future. You're not going to be so focused on how great the past was, because in all honesty, if the past was that great and you go through and write a 4-paragraph, he basically wrote an essay on how great the past was, why would there be any reason for you to leave that? If the past was so great, why would you want to leave, if that makes sense? And that's where I felt he was, that's where I feel like he's at after reading that. But Aaron Rodgers is one of his own. He's unlike anybody else. He is unique, to say the least. And, he said yesterday on the Pat McAfee show that he was essentially just getting ahead of the game, preparing for whatever happens, just thanking his, players, his teammates and coaches for, this season and years prior. And I get that, right? You just want to be ahead of the game to make sure you thank everybody as a genuine, thank you. Because I think if a player leaves, or when a player leaves, and he, says, wow, I'm so appreciative of everybody, but it's time for me to move on, it always feels like, oh, they weren't really all that appreciative of, they're not really all that appreciative of the teammates and coaches and the team. They are just, saying that because they're moving on. And with this to be a 4-paragraph Instagram post and 8 pictures with all this, how thankful he is for everything, it almost seems like, hey, he's so glad to have these people in his life, and he's so glad to be working with these people that he doesn't want to go. And that's just where I feel like he is from. That's just where I'm feeling. That's where I stand on this whole thing. A lot of people think he's leaving. I don't think he is. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to leave Green Bay. I feel like he feels like he belongs there. You know what I mean? And hey, if he leaves, then hey, I was totally wrong about this. I was wrong. But I just don't feel like a player, I don't feel like anybody writes a 4-paragraph Instagram post of how grateful and the love he has and how appreciative he is of everybody, and then leaves. Like, that doesn't add up. But Aaron Rodgers is one of his own. And a lot of people don't like Aaron Rodgers. A lot of people hate Aaron Rodgers. A lot of people have some very strong, harsh, bad, mean, angry feelings and words on Aaron Rodgers. I actually love Aaron Rodgers. And you know why? It's because every day brings something exciting. Every day brings something new. You never know what's going to happen in Aaron Rodgers' world. You never know what crazy thing's going to happen today, right? Every Tuesday, it's Aaron Rodgers Tuesday on the Pat McAfee Show. You never know what he's going to say on his segment on the Pat McAfee Show. You truly never know. He is a different breed of unique, to say the least. And even on the offseason and other things that he says, you really never know what Aaron Rodgers is going to do or say. You just don't. There's no predicting what he's going to do, what he's going to say, how he's going to play. And so for that reason, I love Aaron Rodgers, because you never know what's going to happen. And the other thing is, one last thought on Aaron Rodgers. I do recall him saying that he wanted to be on a contender. He obviously doesn't want to be on a rebuilding team, which makes sense. He's getting up there in years on the mileage, right? He doesn't have too many years of football left in him. But, you know, this may be kind of facetious, or maybe that's not the right word to say. This might be a harsh thing to say, but he said he wants to be on a contender, right? From my recollection is that he's been on a contender for the past 5 years, and he's played a really, like, the Packers have had amazing regular seasons, only to go to the playoffs and lose in the divisional or championship or NFC championship. So what? If he does go anywhere else, he wants to be on a contending team so that he can do what? Win 13, 14, 12 games in the regular season and then go lose the NFC championship? That's what you want to do to a contender? I think you got to go to a contender and win a Super Bowl ring, rather, or stay put in Green Bay and play a few more seasons and see if you can do anything there. Because if you go to a legit contender such as Tampa Bay, and you just absolutely, you take them to the NFC Championship and lose again, that is going to tarnish your. I don't want to say that's going to be the only thing that we remember when we talk about Aaron Rodgers is, hey, he would play great regular seasons, but the postseason he couldn't do anything. Because he does have a Super Bowl ring, but as of late, he has not been able to get back to that mountaintop. And I don't want to say that's going to tarnish his legacy, but if he goes for a third, not just 3 straight years, if this happens next year, obviously he hasn't been to a Super Bowl since 2010 or 12 or whatever it was, 11. I can't remember the year specifically, but this would be a very, very strong reoccurring theme if he does go to another contender and has the same result. That would be unfortunate to say the least, but I think if that is what he goes out on, that is what people are going to remember from him, and that is a little unfair, but that's just the way it's going to be. So on the other side of this break, we'll be getting to more quarterback talk. I do want to get into some of the quarterbacks that might be hitting the market. I do want to talk about a little bit more about Aaron Rodgers, where he might go, some possible landing spots for him, and then so that will start hour number 3 here on Mike's Madness, and then the last 2 segments, ideally of tonight's show, will be involving Maryland basketball. Maryland basketball not exactly having the best season so far. They've won 2 in a row. They beat Penn State on Monday night, and also, what are they going to do with their head coaching deal, their whole head coaching debacle? All that and more on the other side of this commercial break. Don't go anywhere. Mike's Madness. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm just looking for my water bottle.
Welcome back to Mike's Madness here on 91.7 WIXQ, radical, renowned, real college radio. As mentioned before the break, we'll be getting to just some thoughts on the quarterbacks in which ones could be possibly hitting the free agent market, which could possibly be getting traded, as well as I wanted to finish up on Aaron Rodgers a little bit. I do feel like he is going to be staying in Green Bay, but if he were to go, there are a few teams where I think he would go. A lot of traction has been saying that he was going to go to Denver, but I don't know. I don't see it. And a lot of people are saying, yeah, he's definitely going to go to Denver because Nathaniel Hackett was the offensive coordinator for the Packers. And just because of that, just because he used to work with Aaron Rodgers, that means Aaron Rodgers is going to the Broncos. Sure, I guess. I mean, Wink Martindale is now the defensive coordinator for the Giants. He used to be the defensive coordinator for the Ravens. Does that mean that Patrick Queen and everybody that played for the Ravens defense and Marlon Humphrey, that mean they're going to go to the Giants? No, not really. I think the Broncos are in an interesting place right now because they do have a lot of offensive talent, right? I mean, everybody knows what they have. Noah Fant, Jerry Jeudy, Melvin Gordon, Cortland Sutton. I mean, the list goes on, right? And their defense was not bad. Like, the defense was really good until they traded away Von Miller. And if they would have kept Von Miller, as Liam kind of brought up on his 20 minutes, was they are just a quarterback away from being a contender. However, even with a quarterback, that's still going to be a tough division to climb, right? Mahomes has kind of got a pretty good handle on that division right now. And the Chargers are getting really good. The Raiders are, they kind of mix things up in the division a little bit. And so even with a good quarterback, whether it's Aaron Rodgers or anybody else, that is still going to be a tough, I feel like that's going to be a tougher team to win the division, navigate through the playoffs, and even get to the Super Bowl, right? I mean, being in the NFC North this past season, the Vikings weren't really all that good. The Bears were struggling. The Lions were just an absolute trash heap. I mean, you essentially handed Aaron Rodgers and the Packers the NFC North title. You said, hey, you have the easiest path to get to the NFC Championship, and they couldn't even do that. So that makes me wonder, could he really take a Broncos team in a tough division and win the division and make it to the Super Bowl? I'm not sure. That's where I'm a little bit hesitant on. And even he said he wants to go to a Super Bowl contender. That, to me, is not the easiest path to get to the Super Bowl. And I don't know. I'm just not seeing it there from that standpoint. But the Broncos need a quarterback regardless, right? Teddy Bridgewater, not the guy. Drew Lock, not the guy. We get it, right? The quarterback is the big issue. They've got plenty of talent on offense. You put a good quarterback in, and you're set. You just need to kind of improve your defense a little bit, build back up from what you lost from getting rid of Von Miller, and then you're a competitive team. The team that I see Aaron Rodgers going to right now is Tampa Bay, because everything is set up for him, right? The bed is made. All you have to do is get in bed and go to sleep. I mean, it's right there. It's all in front of you. You got Chris Godwin, Mike Evans. I know Gronk. I don't know if did Gronk announce his retirement yet? I don't think he did. But, oh yeah, that's right. He wants to play for the Bengals. So not really sure where he's going to end up. They got some interesting running backs with Leonard Fournette, and I believe Ronald Jones is still there. Well, I don't know. They kind of had a lot of injuries there, so I'm not really sure who's going to be back next season. And then, not to mention, their defense is one of the better defenses in the league as well. Also, the fact that that would be the NFC South. I mean, the Saints are kind of figuring out who they are post Drew Brees, Sean Payton era. The Panthers are just a mess. Like they have talent. Right, the Panthers are very similar to the Broncos, where they have their defense is well enough to win you some games. Their offense isn't terrible. They got really good talent on offense. Actually, they got McCaffrey for the 3 games a year that he plays. You got DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson. The talent's there, but you're probably going to need something a little bit better than Sam Darnold or Cam Newton behind, under center. And I'm not saying Aaron Rodgers is going to go to the Panthers. I'm just saying from a general standpoint, the Panthers are trying to get to that next level. They're trying to get to the playoffs. Like, the Panthers are not worried about being Super Bowl contenders. The Panthers are worried about making the playoffs right now. They do still have a relatively young coach in Matt Rule right now. So they're still they're in that middle, mid rebuild section. And then you have the Falcons that just stink. I mean, Matt Ryan he needs to go. I think he needs to retire. After Matt Ryan goes, it will be a full-on rebuild. Calvin Ridley, there are some words that he's going to hit the door as well. So the NFC South, you put Aaron Rodgers in Tampa Bay, and as Liam said before, right now their number one guy is Blaine Gabbert, and anybody's better than Blaine Gabbert. But if you can get Aaron Rodgers, that'd be great. So you put Aaron Rodgers in Tampa Bay, and that almost is a gimme for NFC South champions, right? So you'll get a top 4 seed, and I think you can navigate your way through that. I mean, at least from a general standpoint, not taking into account that Aaron Rodgers has failed to get Super Bowl contending teams to the NFC Championship or to the Super Bowl in years prior. But that is probably the easiest path for him. Another kind of two other weird, kind of just confusing, head-scratching, makes you think teams that have been brought up in regards to where Aaron Rodgers might land. Pittsburgh and San Francisco. And Pittsburgh is kind of in that weird in-between stage right now with obviously Ben Roethlisberger retires. But they still have talent, right? I mean, they made the playoffs this year. They were good enough to win games that they needed to win. They were good enough to beat good teams. They made the playoffs. They're obviously good. They've got Juju Smith-Schuster, who will be healthy. I know he was injured toward the end of the season. I believe he came back for the playoffs. You've got Najee Harris. You've got some good guys on defense. Like, the talent is there. But now without a quarterback, you have I believe they're pick number 20 in the draft. I don't know what's going to be available, and I don't know what you're going to be able to really get at pick number 20 in the first round. I don't know, if you trade for a guy, is what you give up going to take away from what you gain from it. And what I mean by that is, if you go out and trade for Deshaun Watson or Aaron Rodgers or whoever, if you go out and trade, right, that's going to be a pretty big, price tag. You're going to have to give up some guys. And if you give up, say, just for sake of argument, you go and give up, Eric Ebron and Najee Harris or whatever, right? Or you give up Minkah Fitzpatrick and Juju Smith-Schuster. Okay, well, now you have a quarterback, but now you don't have the talent that you had before that justified getting a quarterback to complete that team. And so there's that's what I mean, where the Steelers are kind of in an awkward in-between position, where if you go and trade for somebody, what you give up might totally, invalidate the reason for trading for somebody. Whereas if you draft somebody, who knows if that guy's going to be good enough to even give you success right away, and then by the time that guy's developed, Juju Smith-Schuster may not even be a Steeler anymore. Some guys may have retired. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do. So the Steelers with Aaron Rodgers, you can get him. That kind of falls under what I mentioned about the Broncos, where, sure, the talent's there where he can come in and have immediate success, but it's another tough division. As I mentioned with the Broncos, you got Patrick Mahomes, who has the AFC West under his thumb right now. And then you have the Raiders and Chargers that are getting better. The Chargers are surging. The Raiders are that feisty team that is going to kind of take a few upsets, take a few games away from teams, and so on and so forth. The AFC North is very similar, where no one team has control of the division right now. But the Bengals just made a run to the Super Bowl. You may have heard of it. You may recall, right? And if the Bengals get an offensive line, that team could be going to the Super Bowl for many years to come, and they might even win a few. get an offensive line and improve that defense, that team might be one of the best teams in the AFC North for years to come. The Ravens, if the Ravens can be healthy and stay healthy for an entire season, that's another team that I don't want to see too often. I don't know that I feel confident in being in my ability to win a division with difficult teams such as the Bengals and Ravens in my division, standing in my way. I don't know that I see that as necessarily the easiest path to getting to the Super Bowl. Not to mention that if you do go to the AFC, no matter what division you go through, what division you're going to play in, I should say, you're still going to have to go through those top teams, right? Such as, like, for instance, if you go to the Broncos, you're probably still going to have to see Baltimore or Cincinnati in the postseason at some point. Or if you go to the AFC North, you're probably going to have to see Kansas City and maybe the LA Chargers at some point. Not to mention the fact that you're probably going to have to see the Buffalo Bills as well. So, and I think the AFC has got such a huge pool of young talent and teams that could be good for 5-10 years that I'm not sure that you can just put a veteran quarterback, a future Hall of Famer, in a team and see that as the easiest way to get to a Super Bowl. I think right now in the NFC, there are a lot of teams that are rebuilding. You got practically the entire NFC East is rebuilding. The Cowboys, not so much, but the Cowboys are going to win, double-digit games, and then they're going to go lose their first game in the playoffs every year. That's just what they do. They start off really well, and then they disappoint, so you don't really have to worry about them. And then the other three teams in the division are also sort of rebuilding. So there's that. The NFC South, potentially the entire division will be rebuilding, depending on what New Orleans and Tampa Bay do. The NFC North, the Lions, Bears, and potentially the Packers are going to be rebuilding. The Vikings, depending on what they do with quarterback, depending on who they sign, in other positions, who they keep, who they trade, they might be the favorite to win that division early on. And then the NFC West is probably your only bet to say, hey, that's the best division. You got the Rams who just won the Super Bowl. You got the Cardinals who had a really good regular season and then they just collapsed in the postseason. And then Kyler Murray had his whole weird drama that just kind of came out of nowhere. So that'll be interesting. And then you have the Seahawks, who, another team that nobody really knows what's going on there. Is Russell Wilson going to stay? Is Pete Carroll going to stay? Is one of them going to leave? Or are both of them going to leave? Is that team going to enter rebuild? What's going to go on there? And then you got the San Francisco 49ers, who, sure, they made it to the NFC Championship this year, somehow. They got Jimmy G, who might be out the door. And so that's another team where people have been saying, oh, what if he goes to San Francisco? Well, okay, what if he goes to San Francisco? That's another tough division where you're going to have to grind for everything. You're going to have to earn everything you get in that division. Nothing's going to be handed to you there. Not to mention that you're still going to have to, you're probably going to have to go through some pretty good teams such as the Rams and Cardinals, depending on what those teams look like. But I feel like the majority of the NFC of the NFC is rebuilding right now, where the majority of the AFC is either polishing off their rebuild or already at the point where that team's going to look like for the next 5 years. And speaking of the 49ers, Jimmy G has been talked up so much. And to be honest with you, I don't get it. And I didn't get it anyway, but it really hit home when Liam mentioned that Mitch Trubisky has very similar numbers to Jimmy G. And Mitch Trubisky didn't even do anything this season. He was the backup for Josh Allen. The only time he played is when the Bills were blowing teams out. That was it. And he came in and handed the ball off. And the numbers are not too far off, which is, I didn't know that, but that is crazy. And the more I think about it, the more it makes sense. As I mentioned 2 weeks ago, or I think it was probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, when I was previewing the NFC Championship, I mentioned that the 49ers are just kind of a boring team to watch this past season, right? I said, they don't really do anything except hand the ball off every single play. And that's true. Jimmy G doesn't really do anything except hand the ball off 90% of the time. If they didn't have, Raheem Mostert earlier this season before I believe he got hurt, or having Deebo Samuel with his running ability, the 49ers would have never even made it to the NFC Championship. No way. They wouldn't even have had a shot at beating the Packers. But to combine their running game with their really good defense, that's the only reason they got there. I mean, and Jimmy G deserves some credit. I don't want to take everything away from the guy, but to say that he's, going to be some top target this season is a little overblown. And so, to make a short story long, nobody really knows where Aaron Rodgers is going. To, in a sense, take up 40 minutes on Aaron Rodgers, nobody knows where he's going at all. Not a clue. I don't think he knows where he's going. And he even said it himself on the Pat McAfee show yesterday, as I mentioned last segment. He said he doesn't really know what's happening. He just was getting ahead of the game to prepare himself for whatever's going to happen. Even Aaron Rodgers doesn't know where he's going just yet. So, it's probably a little early for us, for NFL fans, to be like, oh my God, where's he going to go? Dude, chill out. He doesn't even know where he's going yet. But this is going to be the biggest the biggest story that everybody's going to be watching this offseason. Where will Aaron Rodgers go? Right now, nobody has a clue. But that will be very interesting for sure.